So judging by the beginning, the film actually looks pretty promising, reenacting the visuals to the show's intro rather flawlessly. Even the text scroll isn't really that bad. Though how is it a season with 20 episodes can get their backstory out faster than an hour-and-a-half movie can?
The Avatar was the only person born amongst all the nations who could master all 4 elements. And then 100 years ago, he just disappeared.
But sadly, we witnessed the greatest weakness of any Shyamalan film. They start talking.
My brother and I live in the Southern Water Tribe, which was once a big city. Food is scarce. My brother and I often go hunting for food.
Yeah, way to use food twice in the same sentence, Academy Award-nominated writer.
Our father's off fighting in the war. My mother was taken prisoner and killed when I was young.
This bore bending you're witnessing is being performed by siblings of the Water Tribe named Katara and Sokka. And yes, the climate is looking much whiter than usual, and I don't think taking away the snow is gonna fix that any. This is curious, as in the show, Katara and Sokka definitely seem to have an Inuit design. And that makes sense, their upbringing is very similar to Eskimo culture. Strangely enough, the rest of the village seems to have this down, but with these two, I think Kathy Bates from North was a more convincing fake Eskimo. But I'm not here to judge the color of their skin, only the quality of their acting. And I'm sure if these two acted so well that they just seem perfect for the part, like nobody else could do it better, maybe we can overlook the color difference and see past all that.
I watched what side of the fin tracks are more indented. That shows you which direction they're going. I saw how long the drag skids are. That shows you how fast.
No!
What would you do if
They both succumbed to the dreaded Hayden Christensen syndrome.
No one is taking anybody away.
Please wait here.
What could he do?
Aren't there spirits here?
They were looking for someone with the same markings.
Stop it! Your monotone can break glass!
Are you the Avatar Ong?
But they come across something while hunting.
There's something under there.
It's a good movie trying to get out. Kill it! They discover a boy named Aang frozen in an iceberg, along with his Where the Wild Things Are mascot, and take him back to the village. So, if this kid's acting just as bad as the other two, does Shyamalan like awkward shots where people look directly into the camera?
How'd you get all the way out here?
I ran away from home. We got in a storm. It wasn't very smart. I was just upset. Thanks for saving me.
Lucky.
I probably should get home.
You're not still upset?
Not as much as I was.
Okay, seriously. Am I watching a school play? This all seems like a school play. I mean, I know they're kids, I shouldn't be so harsh, but did anybody give these little pipsqueaks some direction? Maybe Sokka, the funny and inventive wisecracker who always has a ton of funny lines in the show, can lighten up the mood.
What would you do if they tried taking me away?
I'd kill them all.
They prey on the weakest towns and villages.
So Sokka.
Please don't do this. There must be another way.
Fire Nation is following us. If we make a wrong move, they'll catch him.
I'm sorry, did they confuse funny and inventive with constipatedly angry all the time? He's the biggest stick in the mud the movie has to offer. And that's saying a lot. There's a lot of sticks in the mud in this movie.
They're on a ship. We'd need a miracle to catch them. I know you think everything's going to work out, but I don't.
Oh, Jesus, boy, lighten up! You look like you're gonna shit out a soap opera every time you're on screen.
Can't be a coincidence that we break him out of the ice, light shoots into the sky, and then shoot with their machines.
But things heat up when the evil and sinister Fire Nation arrives.
Oh, we blow, we blow. Oh, we blow, we blow.
This is Prince Zuko, a firebender who is looking to capture the Avatar so he can be unbanished and get his honor back from his father the king. In the show, the father burned almost half of his face off. Here, I think he forgot to put sunblock under his eye or something.
I'm taking you to my ship. If you don't come, I'll burn down this village.
I'll go with you.
Another interesting note, in the movie, the Fire Nation seems very Indian or Middle Eastern. Another curious choice, as the show had a much heavier lean towards Japanese. In fact, their skin was lighter than our main heroes. And here, it kind of seems perplexingly reversed. I don't want to make an unnecessary racism argument, especially seeing how an Indian man directed this, but I will let out a very concerned and very troubled, huh? But But hey, if you can't see the obvious similarities between the movie's designs and the show's designs, clearly you haven't drank enough cactus juice. I mean, God, can you guys imagine constantly misrepresenting characters by constantly getting their skin colors wrong?
Shameful.
Unforgivable.
Atrocious. So Zuko comes and takes Aang away. Thus, Sokka and Katara decide they have to go after him. Why? Well, again in the show, it's because they formed a strong, unbreakable friendship with him. They spent time getting to know him, warmed up to his offbeat personality, and found they couldn't let an innocent that they've gotten to know so well be tortured by the Fire Nation. But hell with that bullshit. Let's make it more like that stray turtle you found on the curve of the road.
We found that boy. He's our responsibility. We should fight.
I promise I'll feed him and take him on walks. But their grandmother reveals that Aang is in fact the Avatar, the only one who can master all 4 elements and communicate with the spirit world.
Aren't there spirits here?
Yes, there are some spirits that live hidden among us. Sure, they're watching us with great sadness.
Or maybe that's the audience. Either way, great sadness. Zuko and his uncle Iroh give Aang a test and see that all the elements gravitate towards him. Even though this never happens anywhere else in the movie, but screw it. We have a hastily rushed escape scene to film, which in the series demonstrates quite clearly how the firebenders do everything in their power to stop them. But here, they just kind of blankly stare at them getting away. But if blank stares could kill, they still probably get away. Oh, and you ever wonder how he was frozen in that iceberg to begin with? Well, once again, the original ingeniously tied in both backstories of Zuko and Aang together and showed that upon his discovery of being Avatar, he couldn't take the pressure and ran away, being pushed to the brink of despair and froze himself before drowning in the storm. Many consider this to be the best episode, seeing how it shows the similarities between our hero and our villain. Good thing it's just a sentence and a half explanation here. The person talking about it doesn't even show up on screen.
He told us how he left there in a storm on Appa and got forced into the ocean where they almost drowned. Aang airbended a sphere around them and he couldn't remember anything after that.
But hey, that's just one of the minor major plot devices that probably should have been explored more. Missing also is Suki, Jed, the pirates, Boomy, the fortune teller, the warriors of Kyoshi, Sokka's sense of humor, Katara's strength and motherly wisdom, and any form of fun and enjoyability that the show was so good at balancing out. But it's okay. Because we have that guy from The Daily Show. So Aang and his team travel to his home in the Southern Air Temple, where he thinks he'll find the monks that raised him.
Monkey Yatsu's gonna try and jump out and scare me at any moment. He's kinda like my father.
Is it okay if you tell me your name?
The monks named me Aang.
But wait a minute! You traveled all this way, all this distance, and not once did you ever ask him his name? You know, for a kid you claim to be your responsibility, getting his name might be the most important step in protecting him. Imagine if you did something basic, like lose him in a crowd. Help! I've lost my little boy! He's my responsibility and I can't lose him at any cost!
Well, what's his name?
Starts with an A, I think.
Allison?
I'm gonna say yes.
And by the way, just a fun little tidbit, they do pronounce the names different from the show as well.
My name is Aang.
I'm Aang.
Sokka!
My name is Iroh.
General Iroh.
To harp on this would be too hypocritical, but luckily the film gives me so much more that I can harp on. Like this one. After disguising Aang as a Jawa, they come across a boy named Haru, infinitely younger in this version, who is chased for bending stones at Fire Nation soldiers.
That child is being arrested.
For what?
He was bending tiny stones at us from behind a tree.
He dared to kill a king's dare.
So they place them all in a prison of earthbenders where... Oh, God. Wait a fuck! This is the prison for earthbenders! I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I know it gets really annoying every single time I say in the show because it's an adaptation. Adaptation, you gotta make changes. I understand that. I really understand that, but it's gotta be changes that make sense, guys! So, in the show, the prison is on a metal ship where no earthbending is possible, and thus it breaks their spirit because they can't get away. They are powerless to stop them. Here, they're fucking surrounded by that stuff! Aang makes a big speech about rising up and fighting back, where in the show it's justified, and Katara, but still justified because there's a big risk. They have something to lose. Here, it's like saying walk through a revolving door. There's nothing to be lost. It's like having an ice cream bender at Baskin Robbins and saying, how the hell am I gonna— You're an ice cream bender! Use your fucking mind!
It's time for you to stop doing this!
Sure enough, they do start fighting back, and it's about time. I want to see some badass earthbending effects brought to life by some state-of-the-art effect. Is that really the extent of your imagination, Shyamalan? Is that really the wide range of possibilities that you could pull off with this scenario? Earthbending. Earthbending. Taking the elements of Earth, the fucking planet, and bending it to your will. And this is the poor fuck-ass piece of shit you could come up with. Okay. Let me give you a crash course, or a reminder, as someone who has clearly seen the show, what just one earthbender can do. One. That was all one earthbender in every single one of those scenes. Now, let's see what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your shitty-ass earthbenders from your piece of fuck film could accomplish.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Don't worry, guys, I'll get him. Take that.
Now, just as a friendly reminder, this is what 5 guys could do in that other show you claim to be such a big fan of. What did your pussies do again? Your version? There! Your version? There! Your version there! Your version there! Your version there! What's the matter with you? Have you no passion for possibility? Have you no understanding this barrel of Miyazaki that you could unleash with this creativity? I mean, what is your major malfunction, you sucker of talent and good? What is going on in your head? Please, contact me. Let me know. Let me know what the flying fuck has caused you to become so uninspired when this stuff has practically gift-wrapped it for you and just said, make me incredible! Make me incredible! So they're given some bending scrolls by Master Mickey Mouse, but Aang explains that he can't bend all 4 elements.
We should go visit some of these towns on.
I need to tell you something. I ran away before they trained me.
Lay off the close-ups, guy! He looks like he's transforming into Paul Giamatti! Christ, you can practically see their breath on the lens, they're so close!
Water comes after air in the cycle. Air, water, earth, fire.
They decide now to finally go to the North Pole to have the Great Masters teach him waterbending. Meanwhile, Commander Chow, I guess, is talking to this other guy who puckers his lips so much I swear he's waiting to be kissed by him.
Our spies have discovered someone claiming to be the Avatar. They describe him as just a boy. We should set a trap for this person.
Let's hope, for your sake, my son doesn't find this person first.
Wait a minute. That's the Fire Lord? That's the great badass villain in all this? That's the Show, do your thing! The Fire Lord was built up big time, always kept in shadow until the final season. He was like the Dr. Claw of this show. And when he finally was revealed, he wasn't a monster or anything, but he was still intimidating. Even the picture Zuko stares at in the film looks like the original Fire Lord. But this? This is the most common, non-threatening person you could put in this role. It's like they grabbed a guy at the grocery store and dressed him up as Biggest Dickus.
Hell fever!
Hell, Biggest Dickus is more intimidating than him. He at least is played by an actor I know is dead, which kind of has the ghost value. It's more intimidating than this! So Aang goes on his own to the Northern Air Temple to see if he can find any monks. He finds a villager who shows him a room filled with all his past lives. And in my opinion, the majority of the problems with this movie can be summed up right here. See if you can spot why.
How did the airbenders know you were the Avatar, little one?
They gave me a test, put 1,000 toys in front of me, and asked me to choose 4. I said I chose the same 4 objects that belonged to the previous Avatars.
Don't see it? Allow me to explain. You have a great setup for an emotional moment. Aang is seeing all his past lives. The power and weight of who he is should hit him at this very point. But instead, what do? Try to explain more exposition.
There's a ceremony when everyone bows to me. That's when I accept my role as the Avatar. But when everyone bowed, I didn't bow back.
And that is the problem. Whether you're aware of the show or you're not aware of the show, the movie is all explanation with no humanity. Why do you think they waited 20 minutes of the film to ask him his name? Because that's not what was most important to Shyamalan. The identity? Who gives a shit? It can't be nearly as important as explaining.
As you know, I conducted a raid on the Great Library, which most said didn't even exist.
And explaining.
There are really powerful benders in the Northern Water Tribe. My dad told me about it before he left.
And explaining.
It has been confirmed that he's traveling north. It is my strong belief that he is traveling to the Northern Water Tribe.
And explaining.
If we keep them to the courtyard in the marketplace till night falls,
I don't fucking care! And you know why? Because I never once heard anyone in this movie say, I feel this, or I like this, or I wonder this. There are no emotions being addressed. Traditional storytelling is setting up a character, sending them on their journey, and learning more about them through their journey. Last Airbender is just chess piece storytelling. Character goes here, character goes there, character says this, pawn to king 4. So in this scene that should have been the emotional pinnacle of our main star, it's just more explaining about what happened rather than why it happened. So you pardon me if rather than be concerned when the villager betrays him to the Fire Nation, I ask that you remind me what you revealed about him that's worth giving any investment whatsoever. This isn't me being angry that it's different from the show. This is me being angry that it's missing the most essential element of telling any story. If the character can never express any emotion, why should the audience ever express any emotion? But yes, while we're on the subject, that does make this possibly one of the worst adaptations of all time. A show that created such memorable characters, characters you almost believe were real, you wanted to be real, you wish they were real. Being portrayed as the most stock, boring, empty vessels of just explaining more plot is about as insulting to an adaptation as you can get. By God, it's one of the few times I'm glad the characters I love so much aren't real. Could you imagine them actually seeing how they would be represented in movie form? I fucking cringe.
I saw how long the drag skids are. That shows you how fast they're going.
This is pathetic! My jokes are way funnier than this!
The scroll we had was proving to be helpful. Aang was practicing.
Well, that's just silly. I don't sound like that.
I left a few days ago. You're lying!
I don't do that. That's not what I'm like.
Who are you? What's your name?
They make me look totally stiff and humorless.
I ran away from home. We got in a storm. I was just upset. Thanks for saving me.
Lucky.
I probably should get home.
You're not so upset?
Not as much as I was.
Horrible, I'll say. No kidding. You said it.
Thus we continue with our Season 1 Wikipedia recap as a character called the Blue Spirit breaks him free and they fight their way out. I smell a Shyamalan long overused tracking shot coming up. Okay, guy, tracking shots are fine, but when you use them for every other fight scene, it not only gets old, but it slows the action down. It's obvious the actors have to wait for the camera to get into place. thus taking a fight sequence that could be really quick and impressive and instead have half of it be them just standing around doing nothing. That's why we have editing, you dumbass jerk! If part of the shot didn't work or was hard to see, you edit it out. But here, screw it. I just want to show off that I could do this in one shot. Okay, great. You can do it. It looks cluttered, slow, and incredibly awkward, but fuck, you could do it. Give that man a tediously obnoxious directing award. I think it's the same one that went to this person just a few years earlier.
Why are you doing this? Who are you? Open the gates!
So the blue spirit gets him out and is revealed to be Zuko. There's two reasons this curious scene was left in the movie rather than just having it cut out. One is that Chow and Zuko are in a race to bring the Avatar to the Fire Lord, meaning one of them can cement their position forever. And the other reason, of course, being just so Shyamalan can shout, "What a twist!" Ah, you knew that was coming.
You think my son is this person the soldiers are calling the blue spirit?
Yes.
I recognized his mouth. Actually, to the film's very little credit, Chow, Zuko, and Iroh are probably the only decent actors in this film. They perform their parts well and probably have the closest thing to emotional moments this film could muster. That is, before it's cut off needlessly for more exposition.
Now be sure to keep your uniform closed up to your neck. And remember, your chi can warm you.
I know, Uncle.
By the way, nephew, as your uncle, I care for you very much. Oh, more story, more story. Sorry, more story.
So Aang and the team finally make their way to the North Pole, and, oh god, is this it? This has gotta be it. Please tell me this is it. Oh my god, it's even more phallic than I imagined.
The stories were true. Gaze into the holy grail of comedic possibilities. Oh my god, there's too many jokes to choose from! Oh, which one should I go with? Which one should I go with?
This one! Hey, what did she use for a headband? A censor bar? Oh, magnificent!
Oh, thank you, Shyamalan! Thank you for your unintentional hilarity!
So in the show, Sokka and the Princess of the Northern Water Tribe form a very powerful friendship, eventually resulting in a romance that would ultimately end in tragedy. Let's see if the movie does too.
My brother and the princess became friends right away.
And that's all you need! Yes, all the emotions and character developed can just be summed up in that one sentence. God, Shyamalan's writing knows how to cut the fat of all that pesky caring. God, why do we listen to all that pesky talk in Hamlet when it could have been summed up with...
The prince didn't like his uncle. Hijinks ensued.
Oh, I take it back. They do have one conversation, but thankfully, it's not used to develop character or form a strong bond. It's for, you guessed it, more explaining.
When I was born, I was not awake. My mother and father could not get me to make a sound or move. So they prayed for days to the moon spirit.
Please, no more explaining!
She'll say, "Why is your hair white, young lady? You look very odd."
I don't know. Why are you so white?
So both Aang and Katara master their waterbending from Bill Connolly Theoden, and as you can see, there's no stopping their incredible abilities now. Look at all that water fly. Nobody dare cross the phenomenal power that these two... Okay, here's another problem with the movie. The bending takes forever. The original keeps the action quick and exciting, as, well, action should be. Maybe 2 moves could do something impressive, but here, I could heat up a Hot Pocket before these guys do anything exciting. If the opening was being honest, here's how it should really go.
Water. Water. Water!
Water But with the Fire Nation getting ready to attack and the Water Tribe ready to defend themselves, with a call that lures them into a false sense of hilarity, Aang tries to figure out a way to fight them off without killing anybody, as it's not the monk's way.
Is there a spiritual place where I can meditate?
There is a very spiritual place.
So he comes across the moon spirit, who's disguised as a fish. Yeah, that wasn't the best explained in the show either, but Aang meditates to figure out an answer.
I have to get back.
I'll take you.
I'll stay with him.
Katara doesn't seem like the best person to look after him. I mean, don't get me wrong, in the other version, it made sense. She had a kind, mature heart, but also the focus and strength to kick some ass in several awesome scenes. Nobody in their right mind would dare cross her. But in the movie, she pushed a guy. Well, maybe she'll finally be allowed to show her real strength when Prince Zuko comes and tries to take Aang away. And seeing how she made it very clear how Aang is her responsibility, she's gonna do everything in her power to make sure nothing happens to him. And you suck! Katara and Sokka, as useful as no smoking signs in college. But Aang wakes up and escapes Zuko through the most masterful approach possible. Reenacting a Tom and Jerry routine. But things go awry when Chow finds the moon spirit and kills it, destroying not only the moon, but the tribe's barely impressive waterbending.
You have been anointed by the moon spirit.
He gave me life when I was a child.
Then there's still a chance.
But since the princess was given part of the spirit to save her, she sacrifices her own life in order to put the moon spirit back in its place. I can hardly explain what I'm seeing, John, but the moon just came back. This results in Chow getting axed, Slumdog Millionaire returning to his uncle, Aang raising the waves to scare the rest of the army off. By the way, for someone who can't kill, I don't think these guys made it out okay. And a to be continued that, thank Jesus, will never be continued.
Now you must stop the Avatar from mastering earth and fire. You must give us the time to get to that day. Do you accept this unspeakably important task I'm putting in your hands?
I do, Father.
Yes, I am sure she'll join the Super Mario Brothers, Skeletor, Buckaroo Banzai, The Golden Compass, and M. Bison's Hand in that incredible sure-to-happen sequel! What a piece of shit. The movie is awful, the acting is awkward, the writing beyond lazy, and it fails both trying to be a faithful adaptation and a standalone movie. But it could never be a standalone movie because there's only one Avatar, the series. It was perfectly paced, perfectly performed, perfectly animated. It was that rare anomaly that chances are could never be recreated. And there's no reason to change it. It's like trying to make an opera by Mozart better. You can't do it. Every note is where it needs to be. I'm sure there'll be different adaptations in the future the same way people did with Looney Tunes or other timeless characters, but the point is the original characters are still timeless characters, and nothing anyone can do can change that. If anything, the bad adaptation makes us appreciate the original material even more. So you can do whatever you want to the franchise. Because no matter what, nothing can take away or make any better what's already perfect.
Shut